This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Hoffman. Today is Wednesday, March the 15th, 2023. Beware the Ides of March. Well, today you don't have to beware, at least not on our program. Coming up a little later on, we're going to talk with Lisa Homer of FMC about an issue that transcends any kind of technology or one corporation in the agriculture industry, and that is mental health. We also take a look at that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. We're talking right now with Tyler Schau here at the end of another trading day, and Tyler's with agmarket.net. And Tyler, it's been interesting the last couple of days in the markets. What did we see today in those grains?
A little bit of mixed everything. Yesterday after the market closed, the CFTC came out with commitment of traders data that's been delayed for several weeks now. Got a sneak peek from the February 21st to the 28th and saw that it was a record week for the managed money crowd bailing on long positions. It was the biggest net change that we've seen or decrease in managed money positions in 1 week in history by quite a few contracts. They shed like 150-some thousand contracts of corn in that 1 week. In the same token, we saw big shifts in from being short to being long in feeder cattle, and saw a big move to the long side on fat cattle. So that data came out late last night or yesterday after the market closed, really sent the corn market higher in the overnight. And then by morning, we woke up and found out that another bank is now in trouble, Credit Suisse, and that's just sent markets kind of all over the place.
Yeah, and that's been kind of the story. I mean, first of all, it's interesting with the CFTC report. It's convenient that when something like that's happening is when they have a cyber problem and therefore can't get the data out right away. And so everybody was kind of guessing. So as Jim was mentioning to us this morning in the podcast, they guessed correctly. So, I mean, at least we had that. But, and then, with everything that's been going on, I mean, we were talking almost a week ago at Commodity Classic, like what is going on? Something's in the cards, with the way the markets were reacting. And then we find out over the weekend that banks are having trouble. I mean, we've had a relatively quiet last couple of days and maybe weeks, as far as volatility goes. And boy, there's no shortage of it right now.
No, and you look across the board really for the last 3 days, a lot of volatility in all markets. Monday was a day, that was the first major day after the Silicon Valley Bank story broke last Friday. And, Monday at one point we had the stock market up, we had bond markets up, we had gold and silver up, all commodities were trading in the same direction, which is not something that we would normally see. And they've been trading both sides, a lot of erratic behavior, really hard to guess where this market's going in any market, really, if you take your pick. And so that's going to lead to a lot of these back and forth trades. I would say for the most part, on the grain side, fundamentals remain fairly bullish. On corn specifically, we saw 2 major flash sale reports to China the last 2 days, which I want to say is the first flash sale on corn that we've seen to China since like August or something to that effect. So it's been a long time since we've seen that news. We've been hearing rumors that they were in the market buying, finally got confirmation of that. The grain market, I think, is poised to move higher. It's just really going to depend on what this macro market does.
Now, turning our attention to the livestock side of things, we've been talking about cattle for several weeks with the supplies, the way things are. It's kind of set up to favor the producers, but yet lately the numbers haven't been doing that good. Is that also tending to lean towards the macro situation, or is there something else going on there?
No, I think it's very, the cattle market's largely going to be tied to that equity market. And so when you're seeing the Dow Jones or the stock market fall apart like it has the last few days, the theory is as people have money, they will buy beef. And when we're in a recession, we cut back on beef. So it's one of those leading indicators that traders will try to watch in regards to the beef market. So as we've seen this scare in the equity markets, it's led to some selling in the live cattle futures and the feeder cattle futures. And then a lot of times that's going to trigger some technical selling. A couple charts today that really closed at or around really significant support. Your April fat contract is really at some critical technical support. Your December fat cattle broke through some considerable technical support. So it'll be interesting to see how those markets shake out over the next couple of days. I would agree with you. Fundamentally, cattle should continue to move higher with the lack of available animals to go into those feedlots. We know those numbers are low, but at the end of the day, you got to have someone to buy it.
And that's been interesting. It's interesting to see that the cash sales have already been going a little earlier this week than we've seen in the past couple of weeks, because now with the prices being what they are, producers don't have all the cards that they're holding, and now the packers have got a little more buying power again.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing today is one of the first days in quite a while where the cash prices being paid are higher than what the futures price is. So for a long time, we've been talking about the board price being above the cash price. Now we've got the opposite of that happening. So it'll be interesting to see how the next week or two shake out in this fat cattle market.
Now, switching over to hogs here before we wrap up today, obviously we were hoping that hogs were going to see a nice rebound, but that was very short-lived as they continue to slip just like the cattle. What's going on for that marketplace?
Again, it was a sharply lower day in the hog market. Cash hogs came down a little bit, not nearly like the futures market did. I would say a lot of the same reasons we're seeing pressure in the cattle markets. We're seeing the same in the hog markets. Worry about the global economy, just kind of pulling a lot of these markets down with them. And hogs is one of them that's already traded on a technical basis and then also on a macro basis. And so anytime you get any type of this news, you're probably going to see some reactions like you saw today.
Well, obviously, not a shortage of things that are moving the markets right now and, of course, making things more interesting. And so I suppose the producers want to talk about some of the strategies they have or what they should be doing to take advantage of this particular situation. How do they get in touch with agmarket.net to do so?
Check us out on the website, agmarket.net. And if they want to call direct, my number is 701-987-6009.
All right, Tyler, well, we thank you so much for the insight. We'll talk to you again real soon.
You bet. Take care.
That again was Tyler Schau of agmarket.net. Let's take a look at those closing numbers. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. May corn up 5 3/4 at 626.5. December new crop down 2 1/4 at 557. May beans down 4 1/2 at 14.89 1/4. November down 13 3/4 at 13.24 3/4. May soy meal down $2.80 at 478.40 per ton. Soy oil up 16 cents at 56.34. July Chicago wheat up 6 1/4 at 7.13 even. Minneapolis up 5 1/4 at 8.52 1/2. Kansas wheat up 4 1/4 at 8.09 3/4. Oats for July down 2 cents at 3.47. April live cattle $1.50 lower at 161.55. Feeders are $2.50 lower at 193.25. Lean hogs $1.65 lower at 83.75. Pork cutouts $1.80 lower at 90.62. Class 3 milk 2 cents higher at 17.97. And that's been our Ag Market Recap. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, we talk farmer mental health with FMC's Lisa Homer. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AMPM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Now, when we think about the agriculture industry, we know that challenges are going to arise, and sooner or later, somebody is going to find a solution to get us moving on to the next level. Now, whether it's herbicide resistance, animal diseases, trade wars, or whatever, somebody, one company or even a government agency comes up with a solution. But mental health is something that transcends company lines and also what the government can do to make legislation. Well, Lisa Homer of FMC is taking this project on head on about trying to build a coalition of ag groups, ag companies, and even ag organizations to help get the word out about destigmatizing what we are normally used to seeing when it comes to mental health in agriculture. Here's what she had to talk to us about during Commodity Classic last week in Orlando. Talking right now with Lisa Homer of FMC. Lisa, thanks for taking a few minutes to talk with us right now.
Always, thank you.
So when we think of FMC, a lot of times we think about the chemicals, the chemistries, and the things you guys do to help us grow a better crop every year, but none of that's possible without a farmer that makes it happen. And of course, the farmers have to learn to take care of themselves, and that's what you're speaking to us today about, and that's about the mental health aspect.
Yep.
So tell us about what FMC is doing to help that.
So it's actually probably one of the simplest things that anybody can do, and that is starting a conversation. And it's trying to make sure that people understand, one, that the issues are there and that they're not alone. Two, that there are resources out there and helping them to find those resources, and then breaking the stigma. I mean, we do not give ourselves the grace that we give to others, and it is an industry that is willing to help others, but we are terrible at asking for help. So I wanted to start a conversation about the fact that this is an issue and it's important, and it is a conversation that needs to be started and had.
So tell me about how we get that. Let's just start there, getting the ball rolling, getting that conversation started. It's not a comfortable conversation to have.
No, it's not. And I think it doesn't have to be difficult. It's not, Joe, you're not really, I mean, it's as simple as you're not yourself. What's going on? Are you okay? I know, a lot's going on, etc. And just showing that you care. And then there are steps that, you may have to take of the hard conversation of, I think you need to talk to someone. And I think that showing that you care and that you aren't going to judge someone goes a long ways. I mean, statistics show that 40% of growers feel that it is a sign of weakness to admit that they need help or that they are having mental health issues. And it can be, depression, it can be anxiety, it can lead to bigger issues. And this isn't just about suicide, and which is the worst possible end game for this, but it's about helping people understand that they don't have to feel that way. Depression, anxiety, and of that. There are day-to-day, I don't feel great or I'm nervous, but that ongoing constant, I have a weight on my chest, there's help for that. And it's no different than I tell people when I broke my ankle, I would send people pictures of, check it out, my toes are at like 5 o'clock, it's not right. But when I got diagnosed with ADHD and depression, I'm like, what if somebody finds out? And when we started this whole initiative, I said, if I am out there telling people to be open and to be bold and say it, then I need to lead by example. So I said it for the first time out loud in an interview before I had told anybody in the company that I was going to do it, any of that. And I had so many people call and say, you know what, and the stories continue. And the people who call me now, and you got a lot going on, you doing okay? That's all it takes. Somebody cares about you, somebody that maybe you didn't expect. So have a conversation.
And sometimes it may be that you're speaking up because, just like anything else, it's a gradual growing problem. So you may not realize it yourself that you're changing your personality or you're giving off that vibe that may target someone and go, hey, what is going on with Joe? So making sure that you may not realize it yourself, getting them to help them out with that.
And it's like, if somebody is not behaving, I mean, a lot of times you can get frustrated and be like, oh, he's just, like he hasn't shown up at all of our events, or he stopped going places and, he's shutting us out. Why is he shutting you out? It's not about you. Check on Joe. Check on whoever. And so again, like I said, offering yourself and others some grace.
So now that we talk about getting that ball rolling, so what is FMC doing now to help make that normalize that we're having those talks? What are you doing to help spread that word and get resources for people?
It started with a conversation, so that's a really good question. We are partnering with anybody who wants to partner. So this is not an FMC initiative. It is something that we started the conversation. We want everybody else involved in the conversation. We are putting together, the hashtag is Uproot the Stigma. But we're building a landing page where everybody can put resources on there. We've partnered with Ag PhD, and they have their Acres TV. So we've been putting videos and articles and things on there. So it's just helping people to connect with, because you don't have those opportunities in rural America. So it's finding out who you can talk to and where to start it. So I don't know where it's going to go, but it's the conversation needs to start, and we're going to go from there.
And we're getting into another stressful time of the year, and that's the planting season. That whole what if, is going in. It's the ultimate moment of faith for us that it's going to work. And the thing is also is you're talking about with the stress that's there, but also the idea of just the people that are around you being able to identify it. We're going into that stressful time. Obviously, folks are going to be under a lot of stress. But it's not always just stress. It's other issues, and you may not even understand the signs of what are out there.
I read it. Anything can trigger it, right? You think about. I try to explain to people who aren't in agriculture. Imagine if you only got paid once a year. Okay, and then you have to, all of these things that you have to do to make up for that, and then there's your family, who is dealing with everything. And you talk about, don't take your job home with you. Farmers don't get that luxury. That's not their job, that's their life. And what really kicked this off for me, in which I was like, this conversation has to start, is I read an article about a guy who was a 5th generation grower. And he realized he was going to be the last generation grower. He couldn't do it. And he was letting down his great-grandparents, and he was letting down the future, and he had decided that he was going to commit suicide because he couldn't keep the farm anymore. And thank God his wife figured out something's not right. They got help, they came up with a succession plan, they did it. But what grower do you meet that doesn't say, hi, I'm a 4th generation corn grower, or this and that? It's a big deal. If I decide to quit my job, but there's so much more to it that can drive that conversation. And so it's just not just talking about depression and anxiety, but how to manage some of those things that can cause that, of where they are to, succession planning, here are things you can talk to, here are things you should do.
And of course, everybody thinks, what do farmers need to be depressed about? Look at the corn and soybean prices. It's not just the price and the income that cause these problems.
No, it's weather. Imagine a job it's just, what a farmer does is so amazing. You are doing something that is completely beholden to everything around you, the weather, the commodity prices, the supply, it is an amazing coordination of multiple jobs that land on one person. And when you think about the farm wives, we have an interview we're getting ready to do with one of the farm wives who talks about the stress she takes on when he's stressed, to kind of keep everything smooth, and I don't want to talk to him about what's happening here, and here. And so she's taking all of that on. There was a gentleman we did an interview with whose his wife committed suicide, and he said she was taking all of this stress on, and I didn't know it because she didn't want me to know. And so I didn't until it was too late. And all these things that we're taking on to protect others, we're not doing a good job of protecting ourselves. So if there's one takeaway, it is just stop thinking that it is not something you can talk about. Stop thinking that somebody is going to judge you harshly. And if they do, let them. Yeah, there's a word. I'm on camera. But so So that's just, and like I said, I don't know where it's going to go, but I want people to understand that we are trying to put together resources. We are trying to put together places where they can go to find help. And if you don't have resources in a telehealth capacity, talk to your primary care physician, talk to a clergy member, but ask the difficult question of, are you okay?
Well, Lisa, thanks so much for taking the time
No,
to visit with us.
thank
This is
you.
a very sensitive topic, but something that needs to be shared with everybody.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
That again was Lisa Homer of FMC. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ag weather outlook. Wow, it's such a beautiful day here in Des Moines. The sun shining to start the day. A few high clouds moving in as the day progressed, but the temperatures up in the 50s. You really could not go wrong there, even close to knocking on the door of 60 degrees. However, I hope you enjoyed it today because it's not going to stick around. In fact, winter storm warnings, or I should say winter storm watches, are going to be returning as for northwestern parts of the state as soon as tomorrow morning. So what does that mean for the next 24 hours? Let's check what the National Weather Service has to say. Well, as we said, nice weather today, but it's not going to last. We saw partly to mostly sunny skies, but those clouds were increasing throughout the day, and we saw temperatures in the low 50s to the low 60s. Now, tonight it's going to start to cloud up, and those breezy conditions are going to continue. We'll see lows anywhere from the low 30s to the mid 40s, but don't expect a lot of change from those temperatures tomorrow, as those temps will get a little warmer to start the day, but then they'll start to fall as the cold front moves through, and we'll still see some mixed precipitation across the state. There'll be some winter storm watches up in the northwestern part of the state, and we'll see highs tomorrow, upper 30s to only about 50 degrees, but again, those temps will then fall throughout the day. Looking at the affiliate weather map for tomorrow, Cherokee will see a snow and rain mixture with that winter storm watch and a high of 38 degrees. Shenandoah, rain and snow mix in 48. Des Moines, rain and snow, 47. Waterloo, rain in 45. Albia, rain in 50. And Clinton will see rain and 49 degrees. For more detailed forecasts in your area, tune to your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been our Ag Weather Outlook. And with that, we're at the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, and on our YouTube channel. Of course, while you're there, make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified every time we put up a new video product. You can also check out our free Twice Daily Market podcast through Amazon, Apple, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman. For Riley Smith and Mark Magnuson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.